welcome to the Transformation Agenda series on education. We will activate the phone lines as we go on with the discussion on 0302 2080 0302 2080. We are live on Facebook at Transformation Agenda series on education, also on WORDRADIO GH, WORD, W-O-R-D, WORDRADIO GH. We are also live on 91.3 Class FM on Facebook and also on our YouTube channel, Transformation Agenda series on education or WORDRADIO GH on YouTube. Try and get connected, get interactive this morning. Let's speak, let's exchange ideas, let's share the experiences that we have. Let's make this program a success. God bless you so much. Stay tuned and invite someone to also join us as we have this wonderful program this morning. God bless you.
Great May. It was once my dream to go to SHS, but I had no money to pay my fees and I had no one. So I was so sad and I was so down. I thought my dream was lost. By the grace of God, free SHS is here. See how my life has changed and I'm not the only
You are listening to the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham Edu.
Thank you for free SHS. Free SHS, so we go shine, we go move. Yeah, we go. Free SHS, so we go shine, we go move. Yeah, so arise, Ghana. When they share coin, when they made the opportunity, free SHS policy when they make it no possible. Nana do down kwa eko for ado. Can afford that was an anachi too. Free SHS a man can be denye. And then when the BM bands ye. That's what they made the crowd them why they then come to school fees. I bet ya. Oh my Ghana phone, you know what I was saying. No school fees, free food. This is fun. Thank you, Mr. President. You've made us proud. We are free SHS bar. Let me see your hands up to all those who enjoy and keep on learning. Let's make Ghana proud in everything we do. And charge Jehovah is gonna bless us all. Thank you for access. Thank you for equity. Thank you for quality education. Free SHS, so we go shine, we go move.
Class 91.3.
We go. Free SHS, so we go shine, we go move. Yeah, so arise, Ghana. It was once my dream to go to SHS, but I had no money to pay my fees and I had no one. So I was so sad and I was so down. I thought my dream was lost. By the grace of God, free SHS is here. See how my life has changed and I'm not the only one. So we are here today to say thank you. Thank you for free SHS. Free SHS, so we go shine, we go move. Yeah, we go. Free SHS, so we go shine, we go.
This is the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham Edu.
This is Class 91.3.
This is the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham Edu.
Class 91.3 FM.
Why
morning to you. Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. Wherever you are, good morning to you. Congratulations on your 60th birthday celebration that was held on the 9th of April. That's on a Tuesday. It was a wonderful occasion. God bless you. Good morning to you, Honorable Reverend John Intim Fojo, Deputy Minister for Education. Good morning to you, Mrs. Mamle Andrews, Chief Director, Ministry of Education. Good morning to you, Director General Ghana Education Service, Dr. Eric Nkansa. Good morning to you, Lawyer Jerry. Good morning to you, Madam Angela Fran. Good morning to you, Mr. Paddy. Good morning to your Director of Education across the regions of this country. We say a good morning to you. God bless you. And to you who's doing the listening, I want to say good morning to you. Today, the young couple say, Sunday, what boy, young ban. God indeed is good. Says, I know Yamana Duma. Yemfas them may razzy. Sunday, why you be? Why you be, Papa? Why you be Ama Oman Ghana?
You are listening to the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham Ito. Series on education.
Class 91.3.
Agenda series on education with Abraham Ito.
Good morning to you once again. So it's time for our discussion this morning. And I'm here with a man that I believe is enough for this discussion this morning. All the way from Winneba University of Education to help us have this discussion. So Dr. Daniel Fobby is a graduate program coordinator at the Department of Special Education, University of Education, Winneba. He's also a visiting research fellow at the School of Education, University of Leeds in the UK, where he completed his doctorate degree in deaf education. Danny obtained his master's and bachelor degree in special education, University of Education, Winneba, specializing in deaf education and mathematics. He had a secondary and basic education at Kumasi Tenka Institute and Yanchine Niase Methodist JSS, right? St. Francis Anglican Primary and Isuya Boa LA Primary, respectively. Danny is a sign language interpreter and a lecturer in research, deaf and inclusive education in the Department of Special Education, and has worked as a project officer for British Academic Global Challenges Research, funded research on early education for young deaf children and their caregivers in Ghana, which was a collaboration between the University of Leeds and the University of Education, Winneba. So whilst in the UK, Danny taught special needs education at Leeds City College and University of Leeds. So Dr. Danny Fobby has participated in several research projects and has co-authored several journal articles and book chapters. Dr. Fobby has several awards, including Exceptional Achievement Award, School of Education, University of Leeds, Athena Swan Bronze Award, Faculty of Education, Special Science and Law, Social Science and Law, University of Leeds, and the School of Education International Postgraduate Research Scholarship, University of Leeds. Danny aims to help develop Africa scholarship and build research and academic capacity of researchers of region by providing mentorship and research training. Currently, Danny teaches and supervises research students at PhD, master's, and undergraduate level. So this is our guest for this morning's conversation. When I see people who go through the week stressed, and then early Saturday morning they are in studio, I'm humbled. In fact, I want to be like them when I grow up one day. I believe that some are still in bed, but all the way from Winneba, Dr. Daniel Fobby is here. Good morning, Dr. Daniel Fobby.
Good morning, Pastor Abraham.
It's a blessing having you here.
Yeah, thank you.
On behalf of the Minister for Education, I welcome you to Ghana. When we were young, we thought Ghana was all about Accra. But we grew up realizing that no, Ghana
Winneba
is not. Winneba is part. You have a lot of libraries in Winneba, understand?
Yes, Ali.
I think the whole of is it the whole of the country.
I think there are quite a few, and I think it's the MP is still building more.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know of that. Anytime I think of Winneba, something comes on my mind, and that is all about library.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So you're blessed coming here this morning. Yeah. It's an honor having you. I want to say a big thank you to Madam Angela Fran, who is the Minister Secretariat, for making the arrangement for you to be here with us. We appreciate that.
Yeah, my regards to her, Angie.
Yeah, God bless you so much. Yeah. Well, on the 9th of April was Minister's birthday. Were you aware?
Yes, in fact, I saw some posts on Facebook. Wow. I follow him on Facebook because I think he's, in fact, I admire great minds.
Great.
So when I see one, I tend to, follow such personalities. And I think I'll use this opportunity to wish him a belated birthday, which is that God should grant him the wisdom and understanding and the pursuit to continually do the things he's doing in transforming the education for Ghanaian people. Particularly, I feel elated about the fact that he's so much into inclusive education. And beyond that, the STEM education for me is a game-changing moment for Ghanaians. So I wish him a happy belated birthday. All
right. Thank you very much. And so happy belated birthday from Dr. Fobby to the Minister for Education, Dr. Yawose Educhum. All right, so last week we began our conversation on inclusive education, and I think it's something that Minister has been talking about, ensuring that every single person who is of a school-going age, from nursery to whatever, should all be considered in making sure that we achieve the goal of making sure that every citizen of this country is literate at least can write their names and speak and have the wisdom to work as a people to promote the development of this country. And we have our brothers and sisters who have few challenges. First of all, I'll ask you, generally, before we begin our conversation, a lot of people think that people who have suffer from deafness, for example, or have visual impairment, are rooted from spiritual. Is it true?
All right, thank you. First and foremost, I will try by explaining who deaf people are.
Yeah.
So that generally people get the understanding of who we are talking about.
Mm.
And so when we say someone is deaf, it means the person cannot hear.
Okay.
Person cannot hear.
Mm.
And so I will not go into the technicalities of it. But once you cannot hear, then you suffer from some kind of deafness. And as Africans as we are, there's a myth surrounding everything because we as Africans believe that nothing happens per chance. Even if somebody is 120 years and passes on, they will still go and find out why he died.
Okay.
And so to the Africans, some people who believe in that kind of thing will go that way. However, there are several misconceptions beyond the spiritism.
Okay.
That we encounter, particularly for deaf people. So the first one is that family tends to be shameful when they give birth to somebody who is deaf. And this account for most of the parents trying to hide their children from the public space so that, they will not get public mockery and stigma attached to deafness. And so when you follow deaf people from early years, you realize that they often most of them come into the line space when they are about 6-7 years. And also some of the parents don't accept that their children are deaf. And that goes back to your question of spiritism. When we pray, it's going to happen and they are going to get their ears open. So they send them to praying centers, shopping for intervention. And that takes about 5 years of the life of children. So that is on the part of parents. Others also believe that once you are deaf, then the deafness defines you, which means that as deaf person, you cannot think for yourself, you cannot act for yourself. It is a deafness that has taken absolute control of you and is dictating the pace of your life. And so some believe that, this person is speaking this way because he's deaf. That person got angry because he's deaf. He didn't pass his exams because he's deaf. And so all the other things that happen to deaf people is because they are deaf. And that is a misconception that needs to be clarified, because you and I, not being deaf, we get angry from time to time. We miss exams. We don't do so well in some areas, and that is not accounted to the fact that I am an Ashanti. Hey, Danny, you are an Ashanti. That's why you couldn't write well. That's why you couldn't do that. You are a guy. You are a guy because that's why you couldn't do that. But once you become deaf, then that defines you, and that to me is a great misconception about deaf people. One thing that is worth mentioning also is the fact that all deaf people are the same. And it's a great misconception that's affecting deaf people from across their academic lifespan, from basic through university. You see people talking about, but once they are deaf, give them sign language. Once they are deaf, it's like, for our listeners to get a fair understanding of it, once you are gone, we have Gans who were born in Ashanti region, who never understand any Gan, but speak Twi, or were born in Volta region, speak Ewe so well, but don't even understand their local languages. And so that gives you understanding that there could be a deaf person who was, and that is the case because research has proven that over 90% of deaf people are born into families where there is no history of deafness, or where the parents have no understanding of issues of deaf people, or how they communicate and so on. And so this child, who is a Ga, born in Volta region, doesn't understand anything about the Ga tradition because he's been born into different contexts. And that is the case for most deaf people. They are born into families where families are speaking Twi, English, Ga, and so on. and no one is deaf. None of their family members is deaf, and so the family members bring them up through their hearing culture and the way of life of hearing people. And so no two deaf individuals are the same. They are unique individuals. As we move on with our conversation, we get to know how some of them have got into and how they are excelling. And my conclusion on this misconception is that because they think that every deaf person uses sign language. So recently, I think last year, TV3 on Talented Case, the winner was deaf, Abigail, a young lady. And she was a dancer. She dances so well to any sound, though she was deaf. And also there was a debate about how can a deaf person be dancing? And that is why I want people to know that the fact that you are deaf does not inhibit your ability to dance or think for yourself or do any other thing. So that's what I could say about the misconceptions in society.
Does deafness affect your way of thinking? You've done a lot of research on that.
Yes, and
looking at the brain in connection with your ear.
Yes, you see, deafness in itself doesn't affect anyone's, like I've explained before. It does not necessarily impose any restriction on you, except the fact that you can't hear.
Okay.
And so there are, when we get there, you know, prominent deaf people, even in Ghana, who are trained to be lawyers. Some have PhDs and are lecturing in universities. Some, in fact, I have supervised a lot of students at the master's level. And one, if not the best, of the best students I've supervised was deaf. When this student writes for you, you hardly find anything to critique him about.
Wow.
But he was deaf. And so if you ask me from this perspective, does the deafness affect their thinking? Well, then I could say maybe it's affecting positively.
Okay.
Which obviously no.
Okay, sorry.
It is their personality. And so if somebody is deaf and is not doing well, the person is just not doing well, not because he's deaf, but, you know, yeah.
Okay. Now, so the question is, you've done a lot of research on that, and I mean, you have all the information that we may need on this subject. Do you think that society has been educated enough concerning people with disabilities? And what do you think should be done?
I
so that we understand and know what it is, like you explained to us.
I think as a nation, to be fair, we have tried.
Okay.
We have tried because I got into deaf education in 2008. And now I think we have come far.
Okay, great.
And programs like this is educating the public, those who get access to learn something from it. There are some TV sign language interpreters. In fact, the Association of Ghanaian Association of Deaf People, the executive director is training to be a lawyer, and they are doing so many advocacy. We have different groups learning sign language, which is all about deaf people. So in that regard, I would say we have tried, but there is more room for improvement. When I say there's more room for improvement, what I'm trying to say here is that a lot of people still do not know about deaf people. A lot of people, especially teachers, when we get into the inclusive dimension, you get to know that some teachers are really struggling to accept that deaf people are with us, and they can also excel given the right support. And so I think that more needs to be done in terms of advocacy. There should be more media space, because you know how powerful the media is. I think this thing is going far, because I have quite a few of my students reaching out to me about the links. Deaf people are sharing it, and it's going wide. When the public gets to know, oh, okay, so there is a deaf person who is a lawyer, who is a lecturer, and so on, parents will then begin not to hide their kids, because they see the future prospects in their children. And so we need to sensitize, and in terms of policy making, recently there's a pilot ongoing at the secondary school level for deaf people, where 2 secondary schools, one in the western region, Secondary College, and the other in Ashanti region, Aguna Secondary Senior High Technical, have admitted deaf people to enroll in their regular programs, which is very beautiful.
Yeah.
And so when this is extended to other secondary schools, and then regular students begin to learn with deaf people in the same space, they'll begin to appreciate their abilities. In fact, a research that is ongoing, and about one of my PhDs that I'm supervising, the interesting findings emerging from this is very, very, very good for the public space. Because, so for instance, in one of the schools, when they conduct exams where deaf students are, the deaf students is the highest.
Wow.
And these things should be in the media space. A deaf person goes for talented kids, where there are numerous other children. But the deaf person emerges as a winner. Why are we not talking about that? It is not only that we have deaf people who are lawyers, but it is only the negative aspect of deafness that is always in the media space, always in our discussion, and that is not really helping. So I think that as a nation, if we want to move forward, we should have a critical think of some of these issues and then pursue it.
All right,
and it's going to change the narrative.
Thank you very much. So, do deaf individuals qualify for education? And if so, what accommodations and resources should be provided to ensure their success in the educational system?
Yes, deaf people qualify for education. And so until 2015, at the basic school level, I think we have about 14 schools for the deaf across Ghana.
Okay.
So proud to the new regions we have. When we used to have 10 regions, all the regions had one. And then Central region had 2 schools for the deaf. Eastern region had, I think, 2 or 3 or so. Greater Accra, I think, there's a private one close to Weja or Kaswa area. And so all these, about 15 schools for the deaf. What this did for deaf people was that it afforded them the opportunity for free compulsory basic education. And for most of these schools, they are residential schools where the state caters for their food, their bed, everything. So all that parents needed to do was to send their wards to school. Now, 2015 afterwards, the government has implemented the inclusive education policy. So now it's mandatory for every child of school-going age, irrespective of their ability or disability, to be included in our mainstream system. And that is very interesting, and it's changing the dynamics. And so we have deaf people in the past who would have gone to a secondary technical school for the deaf in Eastern region. Now, in fact, before I come to now, I'm just building the story well. And so there was also one integrated school in the north in Navrongo, St. John Integrated School, where deaf people were admitted. But as I said, now this minister has pushed for, in fact, he has pushed it a bit harder.
Okay.
Where this recent placement of students, deaf students, originally or ideally would have been placed in the secondary technical school for the deaf. And what that meant was that they were restricted to certain programs. And so I've had deaf people coming to me complaining about they wanted to be doctors, they wanted to be lawyers, they wanted to be bankers. But when you go to secondary school technical, you do general arts, you do technical, and I think visual art. So that was a restriction on them.
Okay.
So with this new initiative, where they are going into secondary schools, they are free to pick secondary school courses like science, like business, and so on. And when that happened, and in fact, the one that I mentioned was doing so well in his class, is reading applied electricity, which he does physics. And it was in physics that he was the best student.
Wow. And
so education opportunities are available. At the university level, it's very beautiful. I think UW, where I'm coming from, the University of Education Winneba, has since 2006 made provision for deaf people.
Okay.
This provision include their admission. And so there's consideration on the admission requirements. That, once you are deaf, if you don't even make it in English, but you pass your other subjects, we could waive the English for you to be admitted. Okay. And those who get their English waived come and they perform so well. you come and there's, you know, how difficult it is to get accommodation in the university. There are provisions made for not only deaf people, but those with special needs. And so you get accommodation, not free, but at least you have special preference, and, you know, that kind of protocol is given to you. And it's not only in the University of Education. We have training colleges like Presbyterian College of Education in the Eastern region. Now the University of Ghana is also admitting deaf people. Tech is admitting. Takoradi Technical University is admitting. Koforidia Technical University is admitting. Amusted in Kumasi, which used to be part of EEW, is also admitting. And this is making it more interesting and even challenging because there's competition. You're not the only one admitting. And so the services we provide is so diverse, and they get the opportunity to enroll on different programs. They are supported. I'm not saying this losing sight of the fact that there are challenges.
Okay.
But I don't stress so much on challenges. There has
course.
been challenges everywhere. Challenges in your family, in your marriages, in our churches, and so on. Does that mean we should stop going to church? So there are challenges, yes. But I think the positive is that once, so in the past, I have seen a deaf person competing for a position.
Okay.
And it was rumored, hey, how can a deaf person be your leader? You know, the opposition was using that kind of propaganda against the person. Lo and behold, the guy won. And he's been proven to be one of the best leaders that the institution has had for a while. And so this is the opportunity that Ghana as a nation is affording its individuals who are deaf in terms of their education. I have quite a few on our master's program, a lot of them on undergraduate programs, some of them on training colleges, trained to become teachers, and in fact it's beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yes.
All right, so if you're talking about education of the deaf, are we looking at sign language, right? Do they use sign language or the other?
Yes, and sign language is the main communication medium of deaf people. What I mean by this is that if you're a Ghana is your main medium. If anywhere becomes your main medium, and as Ghanaians, English language is our main medium or formal medium of communication as the formal sector.
Yeah.
However, as I said, not every deaf person. This one is quite controversial.
Okay.
But it's factual.
Okay.
Not every deaf person uses sign language. Let me give you an example. So I've encountered a deaf person who, after completing secondary school, became deaf, which means that this person was talking, hearing. He was involved in an accident, got ill, or something happened, and the person became deaf. Now, it doesn't mean that suddenly the person loses the language that they have acquired through their life.
Okay.
It doesn't happen like that.
Okay.
And it doesn't also mean that automatically the person learns and knows sign language.
Oh, okay.
And so this is somebody who is deaf but has no clue of sign language. Now the person comes to the university. Are you going to use sign language to educate that person? No. And so we have different mediums of supporting deaf people to communicate. And that is one of my specializations, where we look at what we call multimodal communication strategies. For us in multimodal communication strategies, what we aim at is communication at all costs. And so when you encounter a deaf person, what is important to you is that you have communicated. The person understands you, you also understand the person. And through whichever medium that you have used, doesn't really matter. But it doesn't also mean that we don't prioritize sign language. Because research has proven to us that the first language of an individual, when well cemented and supported, will determine the person's proficiency in even learning other languages and even the academic success. And so once deaf people have sign language as their first language, they should be supported to learn sign language. There should be systems in place, and it's quite challenging at the moment. Ghana has not officially accepted sign language as the official language. And through this medium, I want to plead with all the stakeholders that they should consider that. Because deaf people go to school, and sign language, which is their main language, is not official to them. So they are using it unofficially. So for example, I am an Ashanti. I schooled in the Ashanti region. Nyanchire ni ase, the name you struggle to mention.
Yeah.
And so
Nyanchire ni ase.
yes, Nyanchire ni ase.
Okay.
So Nyanchire ni is a tree.
Oh, okay.
Or like yeah, a tree. Ase.
Ase.
Yes, so
Okay.
Nyanchire ni ase.
Okay.
I know my wife will be laughing because she teases me with that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that so as an Ashanti going through, or somebody who was schooled through the Ashanti region, you are obviously likely to do Chi as part of your BEC. And it's not just about doing Chi. We were taught Chi. There's curriculum for it. There are teachers for it. We were trained to do Chi official. That is not in place for deaf people.
Okay.
Deaf people do not write sign language as part of their BEC. Deaf people at the basic school level are not trained in sign language. Deaf people at the basic school do not have sign language teachers. And so they pick sign language through their interaction with the teachers and the students. So like if I come to school, like my child comes to Accra and schools in the Ga community, where Ga is not taught, through their interaction with the teachers and the kids, they pick up.
Oh yeah.
So that is some of the issues that I think really need to be addressed and look at. I don't know whether I've answered the question.
You've answered the question. I believe that the important thing is the sign language should be made official.
Exactly.
And
exactly. It should be made official. We should support it, and we should also know that it is not the only way.
Okay.
So that if you are here, you speak Ghana, you speak Chi, you speak English, it makes it very beautiful for you. Anywhere you go, you function.
Communicate.
And so we shouldn't restrict deaf people. If there is opportunity for other medium, like improving their gestures, improving their so that other people can communicate.
That comes to my next question. How can technology be utilized to enhance learning experience for deaf students in inclusive education settings? Yeah.
Technology has a major role to play. And so, for example, for Microsoft Word or Microsoft has a package where whatever is spoken is captioned.
Okay, yeah.
So, for example, whatever we are doing now is on Facebook Live, and those who follow will get captions there.
Okay.
That is a life-changing technology. What that means is that if classrooms are wired and teachers speak, whatever they speak will be captioned and could be projected in the classroom.
Okay.
When that happens, it means that somebody who is deaf, in addition to the sign language and the interpreters they have in their classroom, could equally have access to the captioned version of the spoken language.
Okay, so then let me just interrupt you here. What it means is that for Ministry of Information mostly organize press conferences and stuff, and I see people who stand there for the sign language to help our brothers to also understand. So it meant that we could have something also in a word form. Beautiful. So that whatever he's saying is also being rethink, and it could help them understand what he's saying better, right?
Beautiful. So as parents, we often force our kids on what to do and what to eat, especially if there's no money and all you've got is rice. So I used to do that from time to time. So I was doing that to my first son, who is now 18, and he was resisting, but I was forcing it on him, and I could hear him, Mama, food, if I don't want to eat and you are forcing it on me. I heard it, felt very, very bad as a teacher and as a parent, because I realized I've not been fair to my son. This is somebody who takes anything you give him, but in a particular day he has preference, and I was trying to impose my preference on him. What happens in the media space for deaf people is that most of the time preferences are imposed on them.
Okay.
So like for instance, this program, if there was a sign language interpreter, you realize that we will have about 95% of the screen, and the interpreter will be 5% small. And this is a visual communication. People need to see and appreciate. I think it is in the UK that I realized, preference is given to the interpreter more than those who can hear.
Okay.
And so the interpreter is actually standing on the TV. The whole image covers the TV, maybe half of the TV, and the newscaster is somewhere.
Okay.
That is in the UK. And so I think we could borrow ideas from there. Then back to your substantive question. About 99% of deaf people could assess that even though mostly they don't make it accessible, they make it very small. And deaf people struggle to see that. But if there are captions in addition, you see, that would be more beautiful. Captions are running, and there's also sign language interpreter. So that deaf person who can read follows and is more engaging with
the captions.
The captions. The one who also appreciates sign language gets through it. So I think, as you said, through this media, if the Minister of Information or the Ministry of Information can pick it up, it will really help deaf people. There are so many programs that sometimes, due to maybe the emergency aspect, they are unable to reach out to interpreters. You can make captions available. At least that can support a lot of deaf people who get access and could read.
There's something you said that I want you to clarify before we go to the next question, that a sign language is just a means of communicating, right?
Exactly.
So we don't write sign language. It's just a means that you can understand what the person is saying. So we don't need to look at them or identify them with the signage or the sign.
We have the written version, which is more or less pictorial version of signs. And so if I'm happy, there is a sign for happy in an image form.
Okay.
Which is how we write sign language. And so that is there.
Let's look at our schools. I mean, the classrooms that we have. Do you have a lot of trained teachers who are into deaf education that could help? Because one thing that you said that I believe will encourage someone who's listening to us are parents whose children may have this difficulty and think that they can't go to school or they don't even have an idea what to do with those children.
Yes, we have teachers. We have trained teachers. In Winneba, for example, we have the Department of Special Education, a unit that trains teachers of the deaf. And so all they do is that they are trained on how to teach and communicate with deaf people. They understand the curriculum of deaf people, and they understand the way deaf people learn. The main issue is that, due to employment issues in the nation, and it didn't start now, most trained professional teachers tend not to find jobs in what they have been trained to do. So they move to other areas. So, for example, when we train them, we also train them in their second areas. And so when you read my profile, you mentioned that I did special education and mathematics. And so if I'm not finding job in deaf education, I'll go and teach mathematics in secondary school. So a lot of them like that move. But I think this government has really done well, honestly. We made a case like this. We presented to them the data on the number of teachers we have trained who have no jobs, who are in the house. And from 2019 or so, at least I'm aware they have recruited, even through me, almost about 80 of them.
Wow.
And this is massive, and I think this is highly commendable. This recruitment is free. It's free. Anyone who says he paid a dime, I am saying on air and on record that it is totally free. You don't need to know anyone. You only need to be trained. And once you are trained and there are vacancies, we reach out through the Ministry of Education, through the GES, and the appointment letters are made available to them. It is not only in the GES. They have also done this through the TVET. And so in TVET, I think 2020 or so, 2021 or so, about 40 to 50 teachers who are trained for deaf people were recruited. And so that is the positive thing. However, like Oliver Twist, we still have quite a few trained teachers in the house. When you go to the schools for the deaf, we still don't have enough teachers there. When you go to those schools that are practicing inclusive education, we don't have enough interpreters. Meanwhile, we have some people who we have trained and are still in the house. And so I'm using this medium to plead that, like, it's been done for us already, and we really appreciate it. Still, there should be vacancies anywhere there is a window. They should still consider us.
I believe that if we are to recruit, let me use this word, to get people that are having these conditions, we will not have enough teachers to take care of them. Is that right? Do you have records? Do you have a way of getting the records?
Yes,
from
we have the records. We have the records of teachers that we have trained.
I'm talking about records of children that are growing up with that condition, maybe from the Ministry of Health or the hospitals? Do you have a data that tells you that?
That one, no.
I think we should have a data
Yes,
that
as a
tells.
nation,
And
yes.
another thing I want to ask is, because you are into this, do you have parents who go to the hospital, early, so that they are able to identify that their children? And what do you have conditions, ABC, things that you can see and identify and say, look, my child may have this condition?
Yeah, so you have mentioned ABC, and that is right. So A, by appearance. So, unfortunately for deaf people, it's a hidden disability.
Okay.
And so by appearance, you may not know. But for some of them, you may know. Maybe give birth to a child who has one of the pinna of the year, what we call as the year.
Yeah.
It's not there.
Okay.
So that should give you an indication that this child is likely to have some form of hearing loss. B, which is very common, is by behavior. And so if you ask your child to go to the kitchen to bring salt, and the child comes with a knife, the child is indirectly telling you, I didn't hear. But as Africans, the way we have made our system, and this system is even in our educational sector, where the teacher will think you are being disrespectful. Because I asked you to go and bring a cane, you went and brought a stone. They will not consider or take pain to know what really accounted for the child to behave like that. And so the behavior of your children as a parent in the house, when you realize your child, when you call his name once, he doesn't respond, twice, you shout, or you have to get close, or you have to send someone to call. There is an indication that probably that your child has hearing loss. And quickly, let me put this across. There are assessment centers across the nation. Regional assessment center, whichever region you find yourself.
That's the audiological centers. Okay.
Yes, in fact, it's assessment center in general where they assess those with visual problems and so on. If it is beyond them, they refer. And the main referral centers, we have one in Winneba, the Audiology Center for Hearing and Speech Services. We have one in Kolebu. We have one in Kumasi, Konfanoche. So these are more or less like the referral centers that if it is beyond you, you can. But at least there are regional assessment centers that could screen your child for you to go for further diagnosis. So that is on the B, the behavior. Then by complaint, my ear is itching me, and even by appearance, I forgot something. A, you will see some fluid coming out of your child's ear. Don't just mention it's Jemrekutu and leave it hanging like that.
Now the drugugu
the feathers, bed feathers. For me, the more I put bed feathers, I enjoy. You are killing yourself. You are killing your child.
Yeah.
So make sure that as soon as by appearance you see something, you make them move. If by behavior you see something, you make them move. The final one, by complaint. If the child himself is assertive enough to tell you, I can't hear. Hallelujah. Don't say, hey, I refuse it in Jesus' name. But before, don't say that again. That you can't hear means what? No, the child is not a witch. The child is telling you what they are going through. And as a parent, you should act urgently. Because we have learned that early intervention, in fact, early assessment leads to early intervention. And once there is early intervention, something positive may happen. But once there is delayed intervention, in fact, research has proven that for deaf people, once there is a month delay, it affects about 1 to 5 years of their life.
Wow.
And so, in developed countries, at birth, there's hearing screening to know whether your child is deaf or not. And intervention is started from there.
Okay.
Over here, I mentioned sometimes the child is about 5-6 years before they are even diagnosed to know their problem. 5 years. I mentioned 1 month delay and the impact. 5 years delay, massive impact. And so a lot of things go through deaf people and they suffer a lot. And so these are, as we said, ABC. Always remember ABC. A by appearance, B by behavior, C by complaints. And as a parent, if you go by this code, you should be able to tell whether your child is experiencing some form of hearing loss.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Dr. Daniel Fobby, who is a lecturer at Winneba University of Education, Winneba, and we are discussing inclusive education focusing on deafness. We activated the phone line 0302 20 80 80. If you have any question to ask or any contribution, you can call us now 0302 20 80 80. 0302 20 80 80. Now, Doc, can you provide us examples of successful deaf individuals who have excelled in various fields in this country? And let's see, so that somebody who has a child with this condition will not sit now. I say in this day and age, nobody can give an excuse of a disability for being the reason of going to school or family, whatever, because SHS is free. And so if you struggle through the primary school, which is also free, you go through the secondary school, and then you have been educated. So nothing prevents you from accessing education in this country. Yeah. So can you give us examples so that it's encouraging? Yeah.
Inclusion has been extended to the secondary school level, where deaf people have more options. I think no excuse
for anyone. Yeah.
No excuse
at all. Yeah.
Yes, there are quite a few. If I'm understanding from the UK English, it's quite a few means many.
Okay.
So there are quite a few deaf people, a lot of them, who are doing so well, formally and informally.
Okay.
Now, for informally, even if I mention names, you may not be able to. So we have a lot of deaf people who are into decorations. Wedding decorations, and when you come and the decoration is done and they tell you this was done by a deaf person, you say, wow.
Okay, before you continue, do we have specialties in terms of what they do that we say, okay, people who are deaf have this kind of giftings? Maybe this disability goes to the special.
They are good at everything.
Okay.
Yes. So just as I said, the only thing they can't do is they can't hear.
Okay.
And so, in fact, I once taught in the school for the deaf in Ashanti, Jamase. There was a boy then, footballer. I don't know how far he went with his footballing skill.
Wow.
Nobody was compared to him when he gets the ball, unless you bring him down.
Wow.
And so that was his talent. We have, as I said, in the informal sector, for example, Winneba, where I'm based, we have a lot of, in fact, there's an old man there who has trained most of the hearing people on how to sew suit.
Okay.
Proper suit. He's a tailor or a fashion designer.
Okay. Tailor,
yes.
Tailor.
And that man, in fact, he's now about 70 or even over 70. And most of the old people who are sewing, he was their master. They are some into different professions, doing so well. In fact, where I live, the architect who designed the space for me is deaf.
Wow.
And when you see some of his work on Facebook, you will love it. Now, that is the informal sector. Then I come to the formal, where I can specifically mention it. You go to university, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Dr. Impra is there, Wisdom Impra. He's deaf.
Wow.
And he's a lecturer. Marco Stanley Nyako is there. He's also a lecturer. He's deaf. You go to Ghana National Association of the Deaf. Juventus Dorina is there. He is, I think, in the second year of Makola, training to become a lawyer. He was trained in the UK. He's back. He's executive director of NAD. You go to most schools for the deaf. Majority of the teachers are deaf. Professional teachers trained either with first degree or diploma teaching in the schools for the deaf. We have, even in our regular setting, the student that I said is deaf and is one of the best I've supervised. He's teaching in a mainstream school, though he's deaf.
Wow.
And so I asked him, how do you go about it? How do you ask questions? So the students are also aware. They seek my attention, and sometimes they write for me, or when they say, I look at their face and I get their question. In fact, that guy has speech.
Okay.
And so he can talk, though he's deaf.
Okay.
And so there are, and at the university level, as I said, some of them have held positions like departmental presidency. Some of them, in fact, 2017 year of special education, the best graduating student was deaf. His GPA was almost 3.9 or so.
Wow.
And so in terms of deaf people doing well, and we also have quite a few who have moved out of Ghana, schooling in Gallaudet University and other universities in UK, US, in Europe and all over, and they are doing so well. And so if you ask me, do we have successful deaf people? Yes, we have many of them. And this is also a wake-up call to parents and families who think that deaf people cannot succeed. Given the right support, they are everywhere, and what they do wow people. People say, wow. So as I said, when I read the words of these students who are deaf, and sometimes I ask myself, is this person really deaf? Because the line of argument and the display of intelligence in writing and other things, you get to know that wow, these personalities are endowed. And so what I want the general public to understand is that deafness only inhibits somebody's hearing, and that if it is not identified early, it has impact, because once you don't acquire language, it means that every aspect of your life is affected. You know the impact of language. I'm a Christian, and so from the biblical perspective, the Tower of Babel, it was language that played a role. When the Christianity started, it was still language that, and so if you don't have language up to 5 years of your life, you have missed so many things. And so with the right intervention and support in place, deaf people could be, in fact, I think around 2012, 2013, there about 11, deaf students were doing home economics. And when they cook, the lecturers will come and say, wow. The decoration and the accuracy at which they in fact, there was a lady who was also doing fashion. When she sews a dress as a deaf person, no question about it. And so deaf people are doing well in different lives that I cannot remember to say all. But beyond Ghana, we have professors, we have deaf people being pilots, we have deaf people doing so many other professions they can think about. We have in America, there are two twins. One is deaf and the other is a surgeon. And the surgeon works so well with his brother. And so it's more or less like he can even, he's learned on the job and can conduct a lot of surgery himself. And so these are the things that when we understand, and that is why I think that as a nation we are doing well, especially with the STEM initiative, which is not limited to only to science students, because some people didn't get a science foundation, but with the right support in place, they are going to do well. When this is extended to deaf people and persons with disability in general, as a nation, we are going to be on the globe. And in fact, most importantly, it's worth mentioning that within the African space, Ghana is not doing badly at all. When you compare it to our neighbors, you see that we are in front. But we should not be swallow-headed, complacent, and think that we have made all this. We should keep pushing. We should keep doing well for deaf people, and deaf people will be very, very good.
Thank you very much. So that has been Dr. Daniel Fobby from Winneba, Ministry of Education, Winneba. He's been here this morning. Doc, before you leave, there are two things you said that I think that our listener will appreciate, and government, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Information. You mentioned preference, where on the screen you see the sign interpreter reduced to something little there, and you think that the screen should be divided into two so that we share, we don't discriminate, right?
Exactly.
That's number one. Number two,
and it's not even about dividing. The one is just standing.
Okay.
And so sometimes the person can just take a quarter of the screen. And still be visible.
Okay.
But what we have now is just
small
2% of the screen. And what is even worrying is that if you observe, you realize that if there is a caption, they put the caption on the interpreter.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like the person is there, but he's not there. So it's a plea to the media space.
Okay.
That there are a lot of trained professional interpreters out there who could be hired on part-time or full-time basis to make programs accessible to deaf people.
Even the news.
Exactly. At least the news, like call programs.
Yeah.
Programs like this, we have interpreters there. It is very, very beautiful, and it reach out to them. And then to the state and to education, as you have said. At least the government has done well. And during the COVID-19 era, any major issue, the state of the nation, there are interpreters there. but please, that sometimes it's not clear. You can't even see from your screen. They should make them clear. They should make them a bit bigger. So for a start, if now it's 2%, they should make it maybe 6 or 7% for us.
Okay.
And I
Be
think
increasing gradually. And then you also mentioned sign language being made official.
Yes, officializing sign language is really critical because in this 21st century where language is everything, and people are going far with language. You are born deaf, so you can't. And statistics has that 1% of children are deaf. And so it means that if we have, I think, I've forgotten the exact number, but we have quite a few of them in Ghana who virtually are denied language. And so I think the Ministry of Education, the government, state agencies that have a say on this, Parliament should take this up for deaf people, because I'm aware we have pushed, and the processes are quite complex. So we are still pleading. That is something could be done for deaf people. And I think any government who is able to initiate that will get a lot of votes.
Yeah. It's true. Yes, we'll vote for them.
And so in election year, I want to plead with the Minister of Education, and
like during elections, people will tell you when you're voting out.
Exactly.
So
and this one is not just one vote you are winning. You are going to win a lot of votes.
You mean there's a caller? Oh, okay. Let's play that call. We are almost ended. Hello. Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Please, your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Austin. I'm calling from Mampon.
You are calling from where?
Mampon.
Mampon. Please to speak to her. Please, can you reduce the volume on radio set? There's noise at the background.
Yeah,
okay.
I said my name is Austin. I'm calling from Mampon.
Mampon. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm a teacher of the deaf.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to applaud Dr. Daniel Fobby very much. He's doing a great job. Please, I want to comment on the issue of making sign language official as a language in Ghana.
Okay.
I want to plead to the government to hear this issue and attend to it as urgent.
Okay.
Because the deaf also, for instance, some of them, sometimes when they find themselves at the hospitals, most of the nurses find it difficult to communicate with them, and sometimes even the problem is then over there. They are not able to get the exact solution to their issue. So when sign language is made an official language in Ghana, it will help to curb some of these issues.
All right, thank you very much. Our time is up, so thank you very, very much for the call. So I think that somebody is congratulating you and saying that you've done very well, but then he believes that the sign language should be made official. So I mentions that when some of them go to the hospital, let's find it very difficult in communicating with them. I think that's dangerous, because if you go and it's your stomach and the nurse, I'm sure
there are data to that effect.
Okay.
And I think our time, maybe we can do this again.
We should. There are a lot of things we need to do. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Exactly.
All right. So thank you very much, Dr. Fobby. We appreciate your coming to this. So you're blessed. All right, so thank you very much for doing the listening. I believe that you've been educated. We surely will continue with this conversation. We are treating inclusive education the month of April. So we're going to get doctors here as well to come and tell us what the whole year looks like and what you need to do to prevent yourself or your child. I don't know, I'm not a medical doctor, but I believe that if you're pregnant, there are things you might have done that may contribute to deafness or any kind of impairment of your child. And so we need a doctor to come and help us understand all these things so we prevent it. God bless you for doing that. Listening. This has been Transmission Agenda Series on Education, sponsored by the Ministry of Education. I'll see you again next week for another edition of the program. Stay connected, stay tuned. Tomorrow is Sunday. You've got to go to church, and in the evening, 8 p.m. on GTV, watch our Transformation Agenda Series on Education. Today we promise to bring you something that will surprise you, something that will move you. So connect with us this evening on GTV at 8 p.m. God bless you. Bye. Flowers